Have you ever noticed that the harder somebody tries to sell you something, the less you want to buy it? They start telling you the price before they understand your problem, explaining features before they understand your frustration, and closing before they ever started listening. Furthermore, some of us are doing the exact same thing in our businesses. Today, I want to show you something that might completely change how you think about sales. You don't have to stop selling. You have to stop making the sale about you. When you stop pitching and start helping, selling begins to feel less like pressure and more like service. When I come back, we will talk more about this important topic.
Welcome to the Marketing Lab, where ideas become strategy and strategy becomes movement. Built for entrepreneurs, creators, coaches, consultants, and quiet builders ready to stop guessing. Here, we break down marketing, leadership, systems, and execution in a way you can actually use. Because you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I know I'm capable of more purpose, discipline, and growth? The truth is, ideas alone don't change lives. It is consistent action that creates the transformation. That's why I wrote Quit or Shut Up, not to motivate you for a moment, but to challenge you to transform your life or business over the next 90 days. The book is the door. The 90-day challenge is where transformation happens. Here's how it works. Purchase your copy, verify your purchase, and join the movement. The first 100 readers receive free access to the 90-day challenge. Everyone else receives 50% off after verifying their book purchase. If you're tired of making excuses and you're ready to start making progress, visit quitorshutup.com. Quit or shut up. The decision is yours.
Welcome back to the Marketing Lab. I'm your host, Coach LJ, and you already know the vibe. You don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. Today, we are talking about something every entrepreneur, coach, consultant, content creator, and small business owner needs to understand: how to sell without selling, or even simpler, stop pitching, start helping. Because some of you have a good product, knowledge, experience, and you generally care about people. Nonetheless, the moment somebody becomes a potential customer, your entire personality changes. Now, you are trying to close them. You are thinking, how do I get them to buy? What do I say? How do I overcome their objection? How do I convince them? However, what if you are starting with the wrong question? Instead of asking, how can I sell this person? Ask, how can I help this person make a better decision? That is where we are going today. And to understand why that works, we first have to understand the difference between selling to somebody and serving somebody. Because there's the difference. And fam, one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make is leading with what they sell instead of the problem they solve. Let's call it like it is. Stop leading with the product. You have seen it. Buy my course, buy my consultation, download my program, join my community, and buy my book. Moreover, the customer is sitting there thinking, okay, but why do I need it? One of the core principles of modern marketing is simple: create customer value and build profitable relationships, not just more product. That is the shift. Marketing begins with the customer, not the product. Furthermore, research on customer oriented selling supports this idea. Foundational studies show that focusing on understanding and serving customer needs can strengthen the customer salesperson relationship and improve the salesperson's ability to help customers make better decisions. Now, catch that word, help. The research was not merely asking, can this salesperson close? It examined whether the salesperson was oriented toward helping customers satisfy their needs. And later research strengthened the picture. A large meta-analysis combined the 16 studies, 17 effect sizes, and 3,477 respondents found a positive relationship between customer-oriented selling and salesperson performance, although the overall relationship was modest. And that distinction matters. Helping people does not guarantee every sale. It means putting the customer needs first can improve how effectively you sell and serve. It means you are building your sales process around the customer needs instead of your desperation for revenue. And somebody needs to hear that. Your desperation cannot become your customer's pressure. When business gets slow, entrepreneurs sometimes start selling harder instead of listening better. Nevertheless, pressure is not a strategy. Value is. That leads us directly into the second principle. If you are going to help people, you first have to understand what they actually need. It is simple. Ask before you offer. Before you recommend a solution, diagnose the problem. Think about going to a doctor. Imagine walking into the office and saying, "Doc, my shoulder hurts." And before examining you, before asking where it hurts, before asking how long it has been hurting, the doctor says, "Perfect. Surgery is $20,000. When can we schedule you?" You will be looking for another doctor. Why? Because they prescribe before they diagnose. Entrepreneurs do the same thing. Somebody comments on a post and boom, DM with an offer. Somebody asks a question and immediately gets a link. Somebody says they are struggling and suddenly we have a package for them. Slow down. Please slow down. Ask before you offer. Try questions like, what are you trying to accomplish? What is stopping you right now? What have you already tried? What would solving this problem change for you? Now you are having a conversation. This connects with adaptive selling, adjusting the sales approach based on the customer and situation. A major meta-analysis combined 155 samples and more than 31,000 salespeople found that adaptive selling behavior was positively associated with multiple measures of sales performance, including self-grading, manager evaluation, and objective performance outcomes. In other words, don't give everybody the same pitch. Listen, learn, then respond. That is leadership too. Leadership research consistently emphasizes the importance of understanding people, context, relationships, and adaptive behavior to influence outcomes effectively. Moreover, biblically, James 1:19 tells us to be quick to listen and slow to speak. That is not just good spiritual advice. That is good sales advice. Listen before you pitch. Understand before you recommend. Diagnose before you prescribe. That is exactly why I wrote Quit or Shut Up. Because sometimes people do not need another motivational speech. They need help identifying what is actually keeping them stuck.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I know I'm capable of more purpose, discipline, and growth? The truth is, ideas alone don't change lives. It is consistent action that creates the transformation. That's why I wrote Quit or Shut Up, not to motivate you for a moment, but to challenge you to transform your life or business over the next 90 days. The book is the door. The 90-day challenge is where transformation happens. Here's how it works. Purchase your copy, verify your purchase, and join the movement. The first 100 readers receive free access to the 90-day challenge. Everyone else receives 50% off after verifying their book purchase. If you're tired of making excuses and you're ready to start making progress, visit quitorshutup.com. Quit or shut up. The decision is yours.
Quit or Shut Up is available now. Buy the book, verify your purchase, and join the movement at quitorshutup.com. The book is the door. The challenge is the transformation. And notice something important about that offer. I am not telling everybody listening, you have to buy my book. I am saying if you are tired of starting and stopping and ready to confront what is keeping you stuck, this resource was created to help you move. See the difference? That is selling through alignment. And that brings us to point number 3. Teach before you transact. One of the best sales strategies available to small business owners today is simple. Teach people something useful. Before asking anyone for money, demonstrate that you understand the problem. That is why educational tutorials, podcasts, content, and videos answering specific questions work, and why you are listening to the Marketing Lab right now. Research on digital content marketing increasingly connects useful, relevant content with customer engagement and purchase attention. For example, recent empirical work found that positive relationships among content marketing, customer engagement, and purchase attention. Another study examining social media content reported that content marketing and customer engagement together explain a meaningful share of the viability and purchase intention within its particular sample. However, here's where we need to be careful with research. Good research evaluation requires us to look beyond an assigned statistics and examine the sample, research design, measurement quality, validity, and limitations before drawing conclusions. Research design principles make a similar point. The methodology determines what conclusions the evidence can legitimately support. So I am not telling you post educational content and everybody will buy. That is not what the evidence proves. I am saying the research supports something more reasonable. Valuable content can strengthen engagement, and engagement can contribute to purchase intention. That is different. Your goal should not be to hide a sales pitch inside educational content. Your goal should be help first. If the person never buys from you, they should still leave your content knowing something they did not know before. That is value. And here's the beautiful thing. When you consistently teach, people begin seeing you as a resource rather than another advertisement. Now, when they are ready for deeper help, the conversation changes from who are you to how can I work with you. That is a completely different sales conversation. And it leads us to another critical principle. Sell the next step, not everything. Sometimes entrepreneurs overwhelm people by trying to explain the entire business in one conversation. You do not have to. Your responsibility is often simply to help somebody identify their next right step. That is something we are building intentionally inside the Noun University. The goal is not simply, here is information. Good luck. It is structure, strategy, accountability, and execution. Information alone is not always the problem. A person might already know what to do. They just do not know what to do next. That is why helping-based selling asks, where are you now? Where are you trying to go? What is the gap? What is the next appropriate step? Furthermore, if your product solves that gap, recommend it. If it doesn't, don't. Yes, I said it. Sometimes integrity means telling somebody you are not ready for this yet, or this is not what you need. That may cost you today's transaction, but it can earn something far more valuable: trust. Research on relational selling backs this up. A study of 560 customers across 12 banks found meaningful relationships between how salespeople build relationships and customer trust, satisfaction, and loyalty. Now, that is banking. So we should not pretend the results automatically generalize to every industry. Nevertheless, the underlying lesson fits a much broader body of relationship marketing research. Trust matters. And Proverbs 11:3 says, the integrity of the upright guides them. Your business needs revenue. Fact. We're not going to sugarcoat it. For real, your business needs revenue. But never become so hungry for the transaction that you sacrifice your integrity to get it. Let me say that again. For anyone that are listening, for everyone that are listening that are selling themselves short, that are cheating their customers, let me say that again, because Scripture says the integrity of the upright guides them. That is true. That's fact. Your integrity If you're upright, if you're walking in righteousness, if you are a believer of Jesus Christ, your integrity will guide you. Why? Because you are righteous. You want to do what's right because it's right. Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So because you are righteous, your integrity will guide you. So when the enemy is speaking to you and say it's okay to do certain things, don't listen to that. Go back to the word. Go back to your righteousness. Go back to integrity. Because the integrity of the upright guides you. Your business needs revenue, and that's a fact. If you have a business, you starting a business, it needs revenue. Why? Because it costs to run a business. It costs to run a ministry. You got light bills, mortgages, rent, all types of debt. Whatever it may be, you got liability. So it costs to run a business. So yes, your business needs revenue, but never become so hungry for the transaction that you sacrifice your integrity to get it. That is why the Now University is built around something bigger than simply making money. It is about building something sustainable.
Have you ever felt like you're capable of more, but you're not sure how to get there? Maybe you have business ideas you've never launched, or you're overwhelmed by information but still lack clarity and results. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack direction, consistency, and a community. That's why I created the Now University. It's more than a course, it's a growth community built for people like you. Over 6 months, we'll clarify your vision, build your brand, and create the systems you need to launch with confidence and scale your impact. Stop doubting, stop waiting. Your next opportunity window is open. The question is, will you walk through it? Join the Now University today, because the life you want won't be created by intention alone. It will be created by action.
That is the Now University, because some entrepreneurs do not need another random motivational video. They need a place where vision becomes strategy, strategy becomes systems, and systems become execution. Furthermore, that brings everything together. Service, skills required, and act. Now, do not misunderstand today's episode. Stop pitching, start helping. Does not mean never ask for the sale. That is where some entrepreneurs get stuck. They serve, teach, give, answer every question, and provide tremendous value. However, they are afraid to say, here is how I can help you further. Bam, that is not a sales strategy either. Research on consolidated selling reinforces this idea. Effective sales conversations often involve teaching customers something valuable, tailoring the message to their situation, and confidently guiding them toward an appropriate next step. Let me say that again. Please. Let me say that's very important. Let me say this is what the research said about consolidated selling. Effective sales conversations often involve teaching customers something valuable, tailoring the message to their situation, and confidently guiding them toward an appropriate next step. You see the order? You see the order. You see the order. You see the order. Their framework is especially associated with complex B2B selling rather than heavy sales content. But the principle of bringing insight to the buyer is useful here. Helping does not eliminate leadership. If you understand the customer's problem, have a legitimate solution, listen, educated, and established fit, ask, would you like me to help you with that? That is selling. No manipulation, pressure, or trick. Just an invitation. Jesus gives us a powerful leadership principle. In Mark 10:45, he came not to be served, but to serve. Now, Scripture is not giving us a sales funnel. Let us not twist the text, but it does give us a posture. And we want to remain in that posture. Service before self-interest. That is how I want you thinking about sales. Not how much can I get from this customer, but how much legitimate value I can create for this customer. Because sustainable business happens when both sides win. So here is your marketing lab challenge. This week's assignment is, for the next 7 days, before you pitch anybody anything, ask yourself 3 questions. What problem does this person actually have? What can I teach or clarify before I ask for anything? Is my offer generally the right next step? Moreover, when it is, act confidently. Do not manipulate, chase, beg, or hide either. Serve, solve, then sell. Selling is not something you do to people. Great selling is something you do with people. You help them understand a problem, evaluate their options, and make a decision that creates value. Furthermore, if your solution is the right one, there is nothing wrong with being paid to solve the problem. So remember this week's marketing lab. Stop pitching, start helping. Listen before you recommend. Teach before you transact. Diagnose before you prescribe. Serve before you sell. And when you have created genuine value, do not be afraid to act. If this episode helped you, share it with one entrepreneur who is uncomfortable with sales because they think selling means pressuring people. Show them another way. This has been the Post of Marketing on the Marketing Lab. I'm Coach LJ, and remember, you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. Stay visible, stay valuable, stay ready, and you already know what's coming next. Deuces! Peace!
Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I know I'm capable of more purpose, discipline, and growth? The truth is, ideas alone don't change lives. It is consistent action that creates the transformation. That's why I wrote Quit or Shut Up, not to motivate you for a moment, but to challenge you to transform your life or business over the next 90 days. The book is the door. The 90-day challenge is where transformation happens. Here's how it works. Purchase your copy, verify your purchase, and join the movement. The first 100 readers receive free access to the 90-day challenge. Everyone else receives 50% off after verifying their book purchase. If you're tired of making excuses and you're ready to start making progress, visit quitorshutup.com. Quit or shut up. The decision is yours.